championship for the Seattle Storm franchise, and the banner unveiled to a raucous crowd here in Everett, Washington. And we welcome you courtside here in Washington. Ryan Ruocco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Holly Roby by in just a bit. So happy to be with you for another season, and so happy to see these teams back on the floor against each other.
The series we saw between these teams had some of the most high-level basketball we've seen in the history of the WNBA. Thrilled to be back, and that this is the opener for us on ABC.
Now, the rosters look a little different than when we last saw these teams because of injuries. Diana Taurasi, back surgery. She'll be out for a bit for Phoenix. Seattle will not have Breanna Stewart, the reigning MVP, all year because of a torn Achilles, and Sue Bird is going to miss a lot of time as well with a looming knee surgery.
An opportunity for others to step up. For Seattle, I look for Jewel Lloyd to grab the mantle of a leading scorer, and for Phoenix, this could be the season Brittney Griner gets her first MVP.
So Seattle and Phoenix getting ready to do battle for the first of 3 meetings during this regular season. Taking a look at the starting lineups for the visiting Mercury. Yvonne Turner, Breon January in the backcourt. Essence Carson, the newcomer, with Bonner and Griner. For the Storm, it's Kenna and Lloyd with Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, Crystal Langhorne, and Tasha Howard. This group of 5 spent just 4 total minutes on the floor together a season ago for Seattle. The tip gobbled up by Langhorne and controlled by the Storm. Storm will play 3 games here in Everett, Washington. Key Arena being renovated this season. The rest of their games will be at the University of Washington. Natasha Howard, the nifty footwork and the finish.
So fun a year ago to watch Natasha Howard in her first season with Seattle, and to see her game explode the way it did. She was the most improved player a season ago. Will be asked to do even more this year with Breanna Stewart's absence.
She had 29 points and 14 rebounds in the clinching Game 3 against Washington. As Bonner a little too strong on that heave. Here's January on the steal and the cup home.
Appropriate for Breon January, one of the best defenders in the last few years in this league, to score off of a steal.
Corner 3 is good for Langhorne on a nice find from Jordan Canada.
Crystal Langhorne a season ago, 0 for 4 from 3. Already we're seeing a veteran player who's added something to her game.
And we constantly see that in the W year after year, more and more three-point shooters. Now they're going to call that a 2, it looks like, from Langhorne in the corner.
Well, one thing we saw from Seattle a season ago was they spread the floor and had a lot of people who could step out on the perimeter and drain from deep range. Langhorne was not one of those a year ago.
Maybe toes on the line. So a long 2 for Langhorne, expanding her range a bit. Carson, pull-up jumper, banks in. Essence Carson was a staple for the Los Angeles Sparks, their championship team a couple of seasons ago. Now in her first year with Phoenix, as Howard couldn't scoop it in, and Griner secures the rebound. Tipped by Howard, controlled by Yvonne Turner. Turner has a lot of speed. Griner, the deep catch, one dribble, and muscles it in.
That's where Griner has the advantage in that matchup. She is bigger and stronger than Howard inside. Bigger and stronger than most players in the WNBA, can overpower them.
And after a slow Game 1 in the semifinals against Seattle, she was tremendous the rest of that series for Phoenix. Good hands there by Bonner. Langhorne is going to get called for the loose ball foul, and Bonner fired up, getting up with a lot of emotion after the loose ball foul is called against Crystal Langhorne.
DeMona Bonner, a player who in the past, when Diana Taurasi has been out for whatever the reason, injury or resting a season, is the one who has really elevated her game. I'm interested to see this season, before Taurasi comes back, what Bonner can give the Phoenix Mercury.
Bonner averaged 24 points a game in the playoffs on 54% shooting, as Griner gets called for the illegal screen, and Phoenix turns it over. We were talking to head coach Sandy Brondello before the game, and she was talking about the expectations of Brittney Griner and DeWanna Bonner without Diana Taurasi, at least for a little while, recovering from back surgery. And she said, look, you don't want to try and do too much, but they obviously have to do more. And her expectation is Griner should be seriously competing for the MVP, and Bonner should be just behind her. as Howard couldn't get the putback to drop, and now a jump ball underneath between an aggressive January and a floored Langhorne. Let's check in for a little more on DeWanna Bonner with Holly Rowe.
Well, great to be back with you. I'm so excited WNBA is here. Yay! But first and foremost, DeWanna Bonner has shown throughout the course of history that when Diana Taurasi has been out for the Phoenix Mercury, she is capable of elevating her game to the next level. She said that overseas, while she was playing in China, she would really watch a lot of Kevin Durant film. She said, I want to be that type of scorer on the wing. She said she worked on her mid-range shot, and if anyone can step up her game in the absence of one of the greats of all time, Diana Taurasi, it's DeWanna Bonner.
I could see some similarities in the scoring style there as Mosqueda Loose buries a three.
Similarities in scoring styles, similarities in their physique and their frame.
7-6 lead for Seattle. First quarter action. Griner, nice roll. Couldn't finish inside. A rebound tapped over to Lloyd. Langhorne running to the rim. Gets blocked by Griner. It'll stay with Seattle. Griner entered this game tied with Sylvia Fowles, also an active player, for 4th all-time on the WNBA blocks list.
Brittany Griner getting down there. And you know you've had a good block when your opponent has to fix her ponytail. That's always the telltale sign that you made your presence felt defensively.
Foul called before the ball was inbounded. So Seattle gets to choose any player to shoot a free throw, and they retain possession. New rule implemented a couple of years ago. Not away from the ball foul. So Lloyd hits the free throw, cashes in. You see Brittany Griner, 575 career blocks. 4th in WNBA history. She has led the W each of her first 6 seasons. Move and the floater. Jordan Canada will be asked to do a lot with Sue Bird out indefinitely. His second-year point guard was a great change of pace a year ago, but a new role for her this season. At corner 3 drops in for Yvonne Turner.
That's going to be vital for her to make that shot because it's her player, her defender, who's leaving to go double on Brittany Griner.
Here's Lloyd. Lloyd trying to work around January, an outstanding defender. She comes up with a steal. Down court feed, knocked away by Howard. Out of bounds, it'll stay with Phoenix.
Jordan Canada brings something different to this roster. She brings a quickness at the point guard position and an ability to break her defender down and finish. And it's good to see her getting that going early in this game. Brittany Griner, a terrific passer out of the double team.
Griner triple team. Now gets the single coverage and takes advantage.
The patience with Brittany Griner. Get the double team, you pass it back out, repost, get the ball back.
Good hands by Bonner. Bonner to the rim, lays it in.
Man, watch Breon January play defense. She makes the life so difficult of whoever she's guarding. In this case, it's been Jewel Lloyd so far in this game.
A 7-0 run for Phoenix, and Bonner will get called for that foul as Langhorne was tapped up by DeWanna Bonner.
Bonner with her length can get her hand on the basketball. It starts with January defensively, but then out in transition, the quickness, the length, the ability to finish. DeWanna Bonner.
You know, we talk about the faces not here. We should also mention Dan Hughes, the championship head coach, one of the winningest coaches in this league's history for the Seattle Storm. Recently underwent surgery for cancer and is now back with the team around him in practice, but not yet coaching. And so Gary Kloppenberg, the outstanding assistant for the Storm, drew up their defensive game plans a year ago. He is the interim head coach, if you will, running the squad while Dan gets back. But he said the good news is he thinks Dan could be back and coaching within the next few weeks.
It's important. It's important to have a consistent voice on the bench, and Gary Kloppenberg, as an assistant the last few years, has been that. A 3-point Phoenix lead. Canada tosses. Lloyd
Short on a three. Griner the rebound. Here comes Bonner, more than halfway into this opening quarter. The season opener for both of these teams. The Storm, the defending champs. Bonner can't finish. The Mercury with championship aspirations after falling in a winner-take-all Game 5 in the semifinals a year ago to Seattle. Esqueda Lewis from way downtown can't hit.
But what a terrific pass by Jordan Canada. That was not an easy pass to make after the dribble penetration.
Griner hooks a pass. January around a Griner screen. 5 to shoot. Turner alone. Can't hit that three, and it tilts out of bounds to Seattle. Timeout on the floor. The Mercury with a 15-12 lead. More than 6 minutes in the first.
Essence Carson was brought in for her defense, but she can drain the three. Help spread the D around Brittney Griner.
The WNBA on ABC is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 1-800-STATE-FARM. And the $5 Grande Nachos Box, only at Taco Bell.
Welcome back to Everett, Washington, here with DeWanna Bonner of the Phoenix Mercury. And DeWanna, we knew that Natasha Howard would have a bigger role with Brianna Stewart out. Your length on her defensively, how is that impacting the game?
Oh man, she's so long and active. So I'm just trying to keep up with her. She running for her well, but it's a team effort. We all got to box out because she's going to get the board, so kind of a group effort.
Was the ring ceremony before the game, knowing how hard that was in that series last year, what kind of motivation is that for your group today?
Definitely motivation. Before the game, I looked up at that Banderson. We're 4 minutes away from making, having that same feeling. But we know what we got to do. New season, new goals, so we're ready.
Thanks, DeWanna.
Thank you.
Well, DeWanna Bonner sort of echoing a thought that Sandy Brondello shared with us before the game as well, saying, hey, I think it should motivate us seeing that banner raised because that one hurt. Sandy Brondello said she could not watch Game 5 from a year ago until preparing for the preseason game, first preseason game between the Mercury and the Storm. She could not bring herself to watch it because the Mercury knew if they got through the Storm, they were likely going to win the championship.
They were the two teams playing the best basketball at the end of last season. And not to take anything away from Washington, but with Elena Delle Donne hobbled with her injury, you just knew Seattle and Phoenix, they were at their best.
Canada's jumper is good. Gary Kloppenberg used the word calm to describe what stood out about Jordan Canada so far during training camp, and she has looked particularly poised so far in this first quarter.
Yeah, especially for a second-year player, being calm is important because so much of what she does is predicated on her speed.
That three drops in for Alana Smith. Her first WNBA points, and she could be a really nice fit, the rookie out of Australia. Lloyd able to save it from the backcourt, but January hunts it down. The no-look to Bonner, the wait, and the foul. DeWanna Bonner will shoot two.
So much good happens when Brittney Griner gets touches in the Phoenix Mercury offense. Double teams will come. She's patient. She will pass out of the double team, and as a big, you have to trust that if you repost, you will get the ball back and have a chance to score. It's one of the things she's really improved on throughout the course of her career, Ryan, is the patience in the post and the willing to repost when she gets rid of it.
As you said, Brittney Griner has tried to improve several parts of her game, but the biggest thing she's done is get bigger and stronger, as if that was necessary. But her frame has started to fill out. She said she's up to about 225 pounds, but it's great weight. You can see in her arms and her shoulder, she's just bigger and stronger. That move down low is going to be much harder to stop this year, and Brittney's pretty proud of what she's put on that frame.
And you know what? You think about the size. We both saw this last year. That was something Seattle had a tough time with in that semifinal series, was stopping the size of Griner. Howard obviously offers a different sort of big.
And that's why Mercedes Russell is in the game now, because Seattle last year didn't have that dominant big player in terms of on the block to compete with Brittany Griner. They have the more mobile post. They're going to face you up and go by you. Russell is the one player for them who gives them a little bit more size inside.
A 17-4 Phoenix run. 6 turnovers now from Seattle, playing without Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart. Stewart, the reigning MVP of the finals and the league. They will be without her for the entire season after she tore her Achilles. Sue Bird has a looming arthroscopic knee surgery. Her timetable not yet known, but it could be a while. Zealous couldn't quite grab the rebound. January blasting ahead as Bonner to her right. Bonner waits. Can't put it in. Smith kept it alive, but just for a moment, it's out of bounds to Seattle. Hey, the WNBA is back, and you can be a part of it by playing in WNBA Fantasy Tip-Off Contest. Set your lineup for a chance to win courtside WNBA seats and more. Play free through May 26th at WNBA.com/1day.
I hope they give them courtside seats in a game that we're doing, and maybe it'll be right near us, right?
That's right. They could share in our snacks. You famously love to nosh during games. I love when you turn to me and say, I'm feeling a little peckish. That's usually the word you use.
I famously love to do that.
It's a famous noshing. January comes up with a steal. And nice play by Canada on the other end to thwart the layup. It'll be Mercury ball.
Phoenix has done a really nice job on the defensive end, getting steals, turning their defense into offense, getting out in transition. January using her quickness to do so.
Well, we talk about the impact of no Sue Bird. 7 turnovers already for Seattle in this first quarter. The steadying hand of Sue Bird guided Seattle through the playoffs, and it was her historic performance in the fourth quarter of Game 5 of the semifinals that thrusted the Storm to a win when it looked like the Mercury were about to pull off an incredible comeback in the semis after having been down 2-0 to begin that series.
Some of the shots that Sue Bird made in that Game 5 was truly remarkable.
Good hands by Howard. Smith can't find it. Howard can, and Howard able to get it over to Canada and avoid the jump ball. Final minute of the first. Mercury a 9-point lead. Zealous. That's going to be an offensive foul. And Alana Smith stood in and took the contact. Alana Smith, the 8th pick of this year's draft. Went to Stanford from Australia, and Sandy Grondella very familiar with her. First from afar, so to speak, watching her career in Australia, and then more recently coaching her on the national team. Griner, and a 2-for-1 opportunity, got stuffed by Howard. Seattle just 4 points over the last 6 minutes as the Mercury D has locked down the Storm. Canada, good look, and the layup is good, plus the foul for Shavonte Zealous.
Just a great play overall by Seattle. The baseline cut by Shavonte Zealous going backdoor. Canada's ability to deliver the basketball on the money when she's in the defenders. This does not look like a first game for either of these teams. We've seen some really nice plays on both ends of the floor. This early in the season, it's good chemistry.
Zealous, in her first year with the Storm. You see her numbers last year with New York. She misfires on the free throw. Griner saves it dangerously. Could be another chance for the Storm. Russell can't quite collect it. And a jump ball with 1/10 of a second remaining in this first quarter. Six points, 3 rebounds, and a block in this first quarter for Brittany Griner. And that will do it for the first. Outstanding defense from the Mercury, forcing 8 Storm turnovers. It's the Mercury with a 7-point lead after one, a semifinal rematch. Second quarter action coming up next after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Welcome back to Everett, Washington, the Seattle Storm and Phoenix Mercury season opener. And Coach, you're without a superstar, Diana Taurasi. You've only got 9 players on this trip, but how do you describe this start for your team?
Oh, I think it's quite good, you know, to be leading the Storm now on their home court and after their ring ceremony. I think we're in a good spot, but we still got a lot to do. We can't allow what just happened at the end of that quarter.
What was it that you didn't like there?
Well, a few offensive rebounds we didn't like here. We didn't help congest and execute our pick and roll schemes, but for overall, it's been a good quarter. I can't complain.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Well, you could see even Sandy Brondello referencing watching the ring ceremony. You know the Mercury are using that as some motivation and trying to bring another banner to Phoenix this season.
And specifically, she mentioned the offensive rebounds they gave up. Well, that was the first thing she talked about, why they lost last year in Game 5, giving up too many O boards in the last 5 minutes.
Bonner with the bucket. DeWanna Bonner now with 6 points. 4 steals in that first quarter from Breon January. Langhorne can't finish. Carson able to knock it away from Russell, and it's out of bounds off of Phoenix. It'll stay with Seattle. Jewel Lloyd back into the game. Jordan Canada will check out for the Storm. You know, one thing that stood out looking at the stat sheet from that first quarter, 6 turnovers combined in the backcourt of the Seattle Storm, and that could be a challenge this season for however long they don't have Sue Bird. Here's Sammy Whitcomb into Langhorne, and a foul called on the rookie Brianna Turner. And free throws coming for Langhorne. And let's take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. CBS Sports Network tonight, Chicago at Minnesota, 8 Eastern. Outstanding game. Friday, May 31st. That's this coming Friday, in case you don't have your calendar out, Rebecca. Vegas at Phoenix, 10 p.m. Eastern. For more on these games, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app.
I'm interested in that game tonight, Chicago, Minnesota. Minnesota, a very different looking team this year than they were a year ago. No Maya Moore, no Lindsay Whalen, who retired, but Cheryl Reeve did a remarkable job in the offseason, bringing in some talent, did a great job in the draft. Eager to see what Odyssey Sims is going to provide for that team this year.
And former Minnesota assistant James Wade is now the head coach of Chicago. Carson spins away from Zealous and can't get the roll. Russell the rebound. Here comes Zealous. Zealous finding Langhorne on the switch. Just couldn't finish. She's had some good looks inside. Here's Turner, who has outstanding speed and pops it in on the go.
And right now you see Brianna Turner, the rookie out of Notre Dame, is playing the center position. She's in as a sub for Brittany Griner. What a different look now for Phoenix. A little bit faster up and down the floor. You saw it on that last possession with Turner going from end to end.
Erica Carter, another rookie who's in the game right now for the Mercury. They have 4 on their opening day roster. Whitcomb is deadly from 3, unable to hit there. Sammy Whitcomb just outstanding in the playoffs for the Storm a year ago. Huge in the finals. Whitcomb the rebound. The Aussie sharpshooter gives it up to Langhorne. And you can see Langhorne much more comfortable firing away from deep so far in this game.
Yvonne Turner brings quickness to the Mercury team, and when she can collect on one end, she has speed going to the other. She was terrific at times in that semifinal series a year ago against Seattle.
When she entered the starting lineup, that's really when things changed for Phoenix, and they got back into the series. January's jumper is true. And the player she replaced in the starting lineup was Stephanie Talbot, who had had a very nice second half of the season for the Mercury. They actually just traded her a couple of days ago just because of a roster crunch. She now finds herself in Minnesota. Jewel Lloyd gets fouled on the drive. After the block by Turner, and the kick, and 2 free throws coming for Lloyd.
And Turner had the foul called on her, but that's one of the things that she can do really well for a post player, in particular a 5, is she switched out defensively. She was able to recover. She fouled her with the lower body, but up top she blocked the shot. She was even in college a WNBA level defender for a big on the perimeter.
You know, Diana Taurasi was talking about Brianna Turner, and she said, you know, her first couple of days at camp, clearly a huge adjustment. But she said in her 2 weeks since then, the final 2 weeks of camp, she'd probably improved more than any player she had seen in a very long time. And Sandy Brondello kind of echoed that, just seeing really drastic differences in the comfort of Turner by the end of camp.
And she said one of the reasons was that even though her body and her frame are of a 4 in this league, she's a 5. She's a center, and that's why they're using her as the backup to BG.
That is going to be an offensive foul. Griner called for it as she was locking horns with Russell. And that's number 2 on Brittany Griner.
Mercedes Russell's done a nice job in her minutes so far on the floor. She took one to the chops, and that's why it's the fouls on Brittany Griner. But you know, Russell giving them some good minutes. She did not get a ton of playing time a season ago.
We'll get more, no doubt, with Breanna Stewart out for the season. Wickham, good look, and connects.
One of my favorite things about watching Sammy Whitcomb, not only her energy, but the second she hits a 3, she points at the teammate who passed her the basketball. Share the love.
Timeout, Phoenix. Sammy Whitcomb. She can stroke it, and she knows how to say thank you. Well, we know the Seattle Storm down a couple of key pieces. One of them, the reigning finals and league MVP on April 14th. In the finals of her Russian league, Breanna Stewart goes down with a torn Achilles, leaping just before a contest from Brittany Griner. Stewart underwent surgery, is done for the season, and you see just how critical both Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart are to the Storm. We know the Storm are without Stewie for the entire season. How about the timetable on Sue Bird? Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, actually, Sue Bird is still waiting for a surgery date. In a weird twist, her workman's comp claim through Washington State has not been reviewed yet. And so workers' comp is holding up her ability to get surgery. Not to call anyone out, but I think Sue Bird should probably get her surgery sooner rather than later. So she is still waiting for a surgery date to be set. And then, of course, her timetable to return will be based on that afterwards. But she said, how strange is it that my surgery is being delayed by a workman's comp issue?
That is fascinating. And whoever's in charge of that, I don't think they want Holly Rowe showing up at their door saying, hey, come on, get this done. Also, I mean, how about the fans of the Seattle Storm? They might expedite the issue as well.
I'm thinking they might.
Turner in the corner, can't hit the 3. Griner was able to go over the back, but just pushed it over to Canada. Canada, a lot of speed, cups it in on the reverse. Jordan Canada looks ready to take a huge leap in year number 2.
Jordan Canada's been terrific. She's turned the ball over a little bit and needs to clean that up. But on the offensive end, going to the basket or delivering the ball in the pick and roll has been outstanding.
A 7-0 run for Seattle. A chance to increase it here. And a foul called against Breon January.
I mean, Jordan Canada has that extra burst of speed and can get out in transition. Euro step, flip over the shoulder. How about the finish?
Jordan Canada delighting Sue Bird. Okay, all right. I don't know. It seemed like almost the vet, like admonishing, like, you really going to take it that way? All right, fine, it's okay.
That works too, I guess.
Canada wedged against the baseline and turns it over.
Well, and that's Jordan Canada right there. It is one play, an amazing move, and the next a little bit sped up and has her 5th turnover. So you got to start limiting those turnovers. Young player, 2nd season, and then see more of what we saw the possession before.
Sophie Cunningham stepped out of bounds. Phoenix, meanwhile, has gotten a little sloppier here in the 2nd quarter. 4 turnovers in the quarter. And they've all come on the last few possessions. Zealous from 17. Can't hit. Langhorne the rebound. In the corner, Zealous off on a 3. Flying in was Lloyd, but Cunningham able to secure it. Another one of those rookies for the Mercury. And a whistle away from the ball against Shavonte Zealous. You know, we talk about Jordan Canada, and obviously she is going to be given the keys to the car with Sue Bird out, as Shavonte Zealous will check out after the foul called against her 2nd. But Canada, you think about also sort of the residual benefits of an injury. And next year, when you do get Breanna Stewart back and when you do get Sue Bird back, maybe she's back this year as well, Canada will have benefited from whatever experience she has in the driver's seat.
Yeah, without question, and especially when you talk about the future of the Seattle Storm. You know, how many years does Sue Bird have left in her?
Nice fast break run there with Lloyd finding Howard for the finish. And suddenly it's a 2-point game. A 9-0 Seattle run. Bonner trying to pivot to space. Shot clock down to 3. And a defensive 3 seconds called against Seattle. So a chance to end that run at the free throw line for the Mercury, who have not scored in the last 4 minutes. You know, Gary Kloppenberg, the defensive-minded coach of the Storm, happy with the defense of this 2nd quarter. You also know that Sue Bird is going to be given a lot of responsibility with that coaching staff as well while she's not playing. We already saw that last year while on the floor, but right now, while off of it, you expect it as well. And Yvonne Turner was able to argue her way into getting possession back there. It looked like that ball hit her last, and instead, she sort of negotiated her way into the Mercury getting possession. But Bonner unable to collect. Maybe she can help with Sue Bird's workman's comp claim. Wide open, Howard unable to hit from 3. Cunningham is out of bounds, and it will stay with the Storm. Sophie Cunningham, another one of those Mercury rookies who have blown away Sandy Brondello in camp. She said, I trust all of them and expects to have an enhanced bench because of them. Canada chucks it into the front row, and that's turnover number 6 for Canada, number 10 for the Storm. And that, of course, is the downside.
Yeah. Huge upside, but still only in her 2nd season.
Bonner, nice crossover. Cunningham with 6 to shoot. Cunningham looked to wedge her way to some space. Nice look inside. Bonner couldn't finish, wanted a foul, didn't get it. Defense has been tough from the Storm in the 2nd quarter. Nice look. Lloyd to Howard. Couldn't finish on the pop. How about the follow? Blew the bunny. Another chance for Howard. Good hands by Cunningham, and 11 to shoot for the Storm. Timeout on the floor. Natasha Howard and the Storm getting it going. In transition, you know Seattle loves to run. And Lloyd, the facilitator.
Welcome back to Washington, here with the reigning MVP, Breanna Stewart. And it is hard to see you sitting over here, not on the bench with your teammates. Explain to us why you allowed the team to waive you so you're not sitting on the bench with them.
I think the main reason was the fact that as much as I want to be with the team, this year I won't be able to play. You know, as much as I want to, I won't be back in time. And, you know, that's another spot. That's another person that can be playing, helping this team, and helping get these wins and getting better.
It's a very unselfish move on your part, but the league has stepped up and named you as an ambassador. Do we have to call you Ambassador Stewie now, and what will you be doing?
You definitely have to call me Ambassador Stewie, and maybe I can like change my Twitter name. That would be funny. But, you know, we're just continuing. I'm working with the league. We're going to figure out exactly what that entails, but I'm excited to still be around as much as I can, even if I'm not on the court.
I know that it's important to you to grow the grassroots piece of this league. What do you look forward to doing when you have some time off this season?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I want to do is, you know, continue to bridge the gap in the connection between, you know, young kids and us at the pro level, and, you know, show that we're really reachable and touchable, and help them realize that this is how that they can get to the next level.
Okay, how's the rehab going so far on the Achilles? I see you're off crutches, off the scooter, and walking around in a boot.
Yeah, rehab is going really well so far. I think, you know, progressing at a pretty good pace. And, you know, with an injury like this, you have to focus on the small victories. You know, being off crutches is huge. Being able to walk around, even if it's in a boot, I'm happy.
Good, and she's also got some new bling on her finger there, so I think that the diamonds helped the hurt a little bit. Thanks, Stewie. Thanks, Ambassador Stewie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Breanna Stewart. Thank you, Ali Rowe. Meanwhile, Stewie probably likes the 13-1 run Seattle's on. And just in case anyone's concerned, like, well, what do you mean she's not on the roster? She will be a member of the Storm again next year when healthy. This was a formality to gain an extra roster spot for the Storm. But obviously, Breanna Stewart, once she's recovered, will be back and dominating again for Seattle.
You don't often see championship rings on the pinky finger, just as a quick observation.
That's a good observation.
Usually need a stronger, bigger finger to support all that bling.
That's an excellent point.
Let me get to the meat of the matter.
It's that kind of analysis that Rebecca Lobo is here for, folks. Hey, coming up on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm, join Kevin Connors and LaChina Robinson. 2019 WNBA predictions. We'll have highlights of the first half and much more.
I'm here for it. LaChina Robinson's predictions.
Yes.
Tell me what's going to happen, LaChina.
Howard hits the free throw. Seattle has erased an 11-point deficit. They have played lockdown defense in this second quarter.
And Howard's been terrific on the offensive end of the floor.
They've held the Phoenix Mercury to just 7 points in the second. And Phoenix has just 1 point over the last 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And speaking of Howard's offense, 9 points now to go with 6 rebounds. Sketta Lewis checks out, and Howard misfires on the free throw. Inside of a minute remaining in this first half, a rematch of last year's epic 5-game semifinal series between the Storm and Mercury. Carson with 2 to shoot, off one leg, puts it in. Seattle going to take a timeout. With an 8.5-second differential game and shot clock. We'll draw something up. And use this.
Really good guards surrounding them as well. This is a Vegas team that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, and the GMs picked them as the favorites to win the championship. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of respect for the Vegas Aces and what they could end up doing.
They're loaded with talent. I think the question with them is some new people playing together. Experience is such an important part, a vital part of winning a WNBA championship, but they certainly have the pieces to do so.
Crowd on its feet, applauding the effort in this first half. Howard for to shoot. Howard to the rim. Can't lay it in. Langhorne fighting. Carson winning. A chance for Phoenix, but a foul in the backcourt against Mosqueda Lewis. Seattle did have a foul to give, and Bonner shaken up for the moment.
Right, we talked early in this game about our conversation with Sandy Brondello before the game, and how defensive rebounding was such a big part. It's something they've been working on since a year ago. Seattle already 12 second chance points to 0 for Phoenix, so they're still giving up some offensive boards.
Phoenix will take a timeout and draw something up with the final play after Bonner got wedged between. Coaches using up these timeouts rather than letting them waste away. Let's take a listen in to both head coaches wired for sound in this first half.
Okay, let's pick up our intensity, see if we can generate a couple turnovers this next couple minutes with a hard res, guys. Here we go. We're good. Let's go, guys.
I want to push the ball more. So I want more drags. Sophie can go. Drag or double. Flow into stuff more. Run in the 4. I want to see the one post player run in the middle. And then get open. Okay?
Phoenix had a lot of success early doing just that, getting out in transition, oftentimes off of turnovers and steals, pushing out. No surprise that Gary Kloppenberg, sort of their defensive coordinator, was talking defense in his huddle.
Sandy Brondello in her 5th season as head coach of the Mercury. Gary Kloppenberg, long time coach of this league, did an outstanding job coordinating the defense a year ago. Now the interim head coach, as Carson got it off in time but could not put it in, and that'll do it for the first half. Seattle holds Phoenix to 9 points in the second quarter, and they erase an 11-point deficit. It's 32-all at the half. Natasha Howard with a big first half, and Jordan Canada filling big shoes and helping guide the comeback. She's with Holly.
Well, Jordan, I know that you probably had some nerves before the game. What were you feeling knowing that you had a big role today starting in place of Sue Bird?
I mean, it's an exciting day, just a lot of excitement, not so much of being nervous. Yeah, just a lot of excitement right now. I'm trying, I'm kind of playing a little reckless right now with my turnovers. I got to cut that down, be more patient, and stay poised.
That's what I was going to ask you about. The first half turnovers, you did start getting better with the ball. What started to click for you handling the ball?
I just needed to slow down. I was rushing, I was overthinking it, and I was just doing too much. And so,
how can we get Jewel Lloyd more involved?
I think we're better when we're just flowing, when we're in flow, spacing out. I think that's the best option for Jewel.
All right, thank you so much. Ryan?
All right, Holly, and thank you, Jordan. Our score here at the half. The Storm 32 and the Mercury 32. Stay tuned for the WNBA halftime report. It is presented by State Farm, and it is coming your way with Kevin Connors and LaChina Robinson following these messages. Getting ready to start the second half in gorgeous Washington, just outside of Seattle in Everett. First half numbers. Storm shot at just 34%, but their outstanding second quarter defensive work on the offensive glass able to tie this game as we welcome you courtside. Ryan Rucco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Storm defense was outstanding in that second quarter to erase an 11-point deficit, but we did see the Mercury offense look crisp, especially for a first game of the season in that first quarter.
Yeah, they were terrific with their movement of the basketball in the quarter court in the first quarter primarily. They moved the ball around the perimeter. They didn't let the ball stick. Sometimes it went inside out with Brittany Griner. Sometimes it just moved around the outside. But when they were able to efficiently move the basketball and quickly move the basketball, they got good shots. It's one of the big reasons they had 23 points in that first quarter. But in the second, Seattle did a terrific job of disrupting that ball movement.
After the outstanding offense in the first from Phoenix, it was a different story in the second. No assists, no offensive rebounds, and just 3 points in the final 7 minutes and 37 seconds of that quarter. First game of the season for both of these teams. A rematch of the semifinals from a year ago as Bonner can't hit. Griner is fouled, and a loose ball foul right away against Seattle to begin the third quarter. Ryan Rucco, Rebecca Lobo, Holly Rowe with you. Our entire WNBA crew, appreciate you hanging out with us on Memorial Day weekend. Start of the WNBA season, year number 23 as Griner hits the turnaround.
It's unstoppable. You have 6'9" Brittany Griner fading to the baseline on a turnaround. Unstoppable.
Griner now 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 of 7 shooting. Jewel Lloyd a bit quiet in that first half.
Yeah, only took 3 shots. She's the one I've kind of pointed to in the open of this game. This year, without Sue and without Breanna Stewart, is she really going to elevate her game offensively?
$11 turnovers now for Seattle. Canada had 6 in the first half. And that is going to be a jump ball as Howard locks into Griner. And they will jump it up.
If Brittany Griner gets the ball on the block and does the baseline turn and fade, I don't know anybody that can really stop that. Because there's no one who can really compete with her in terms of size other than Liz Cambage. And when you add the fade to that baseline turnaround, it becomes unstoppable for a big.
Griner pats it down right to Lloyd. Lloyd finds Howard. A good look from the baseline is good. You know, that is something we saw last year in the playoffs with Jewel Lloyd, that even when she's not scoring, she's gotten much better throughout her career at making impacts in other ways. In this case, distributing.
It's one of the things Gary Kloppenberg was talking to us about before the game, is that she needs to continue to be involved, continue to move without the basketball in her hands.
Lloyd will take and hit. Jewel Lloyd's first field goal of the game. Turner tripped up. Here's Bonner on the back cut. Bonner gets fouled by Howard, and Howard thought it was clean.
Jewel Lloyd willing to distribute the basketball when she's involved in the pick and roll. You know she wants to get her scoring going, but when she draws the defense, she will kick, and then very capable of scoring as well. But a great sign for Seattle to see Lloyd this involved early here in the second half.
Bonner hits the first free throw. Jewel Lloyd, 6 points, 3 assists. Lloyd, an all-star a season ago. A former #1 overall pick, as is Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart. Phoenix has a couple of them in Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner. Howard in the corner, can't hit the 3, but does get the foul. And Natasha Howard will shoot 3 free throws.
Natasha Howard wanting to become more consistent from the three-point line. DeWanna Bonner with the contest, but clearly gets the body, and that's a foul.
And Howard clearly behind the line. Yeah, there's no mistaking that being in the shooter's airspace there when they go to land.
Oh, foot space.
Yeah.
General space.
All space. And Howard, who was so good last year, what she has worked on, and you see her shoes today, is indeed just getting more consistent from 3. I love those kicks. How about that?
I hope they're going to be on the site WNBA Kicks on Instagram. Get a picture of Howard's shoes.
That's right. Howard misses all 3 free throws. She shot 80% from the line a year ago.
She was distracted by her shoes.
Reiner, quick turnaround, is short. Howard nearly lost it as she took the rebound away from Langhorne. Let's check in with Holly Rowe for a little more on Natasha Howard.
Well, you see Natasha Howard really working to expand her range. She played overseas in China this year, and she had a couple of 40-point games. At one point, she was averaging 32 points a game. So she really wants to be able to space the floor, expand that range, and we're seeing her try to do a little bit more of that today.
Sketta Lewis able to finish it off with the jumper. Well, and to Holly's point, last year we saw the expansion from three. She had been under 20% throughout his career, and then last year she shot it at 33% from three, but looking to get even more consistent and not just be a threat from there, but be someone who Seattle really wants taking threes.
Well, she's so dangerous off the bounce, and that's where she's even better, is in the pick and roll game. She's terrific at reading it. She slip screens at times. That time you just saw her roll after setting the on-ball screen. But when your defender knows how good you are there, they try to give you the cushion, and as a result, she'll have some open opportunities from three.
Howard will get another chance at the line here, where she's 1 of 5 thus far today. And she makes that one. Natasha Howard, last year's most improved player. And the numbers just skyrocketed. And you see the difference in the three-point shooting percentage that we talked about. Plus, I mean, she had 29 points, 14 rebounds in the clinching game of the finals. She was terrific. And Rebecca, you talked about this a lot last year. She was not a player Minnesota wanted to lose.
They just couldn't afford her with the salary cap situation they had, and with some of the other issues on their roster.
Bonner nearly lost it, got it back. Difficult shot is off. Howard the rebound. The steal in the backcourt, and Bonner lays it in. And that's happened a few times today.
And how badly did Phoenix need that? Easy two to cut into the lead.
Especially coming off their paltry performance offensively in the second. Langhorne will give it up. The veteran Langhorne looking to work Reiner. Shot clock down to 3. Howard had it knocked from behind by Turner. Howard got it back. Felt like it might have been late, but they're going to count it, and they will review it.
That play was exactly how she scripted it.
Reiner bodying in, can't finish, trying to get herself another chance. She gets Phoenix one. Reiner's jumper is short. Rebound knocked away from Howard. Right back to Phoenix. Mercury finally getting some second opportunities, and Bonner can't quite finish it. Those are the first offensive rebounds of the game for the Mercury. And a foul underneath on January, giving up some size to Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis.
The first offensive rebounds of the game.
That's right, for Phoenix.
That's remarkable.
It is. And true.
Which is why you were remarking.
Which is a key staple of anything remarkable. Timeout taken by Phoenix. They'll regroup. Seattle a 5-point lead midway through the third. A rematch of last year's spectacular semifinal series. Back in Everett, Washington, and we are with a 3-time champion, Sue Bird. Of course, the face of the Seattle Storm, joining Ryan Rucco and Rebecca Lobo here. And Sue, I know, this looks like a lovely uniform, but you would much rather be obviously in a Storm uniform. How is your knee feeling? And right now, like, what exactly? Holly told us about the workman's comp situation, but
thank you, Holly.
Yeah. But what's the situation for you right now in your recovery?
Just waiting for surgery. The way this injury is I'm actually not injured. Like, I feel fine, everything's fine. I just have this bone in my knee that's kind of preventing me from playing basketball. So just kind of waiting to get it out, and then the recovery starts from there.
What do you feel so far about how the team has done in its first 2.5 quarters of this season?
Yeah, I think they're doing great. You know, we've really focused on our defense in practice, and you can see, you know, we're giving them problems. Obviously, our turnovers, you know, some of it, yeah, Phoenix can cause some of that. Obviously, they have some players, especially in January, who can turn you over. But we're really shooting ourselves in the foot there, and I think a lot of their points have come off of that. So that's within our control, which is the good news. Bad news is it's actually happening.
You know, and watching Canada, who obviously is Jordan Canada, is going to have a much larger role this year with you out. It seems like she looks poised to take a big leap. The turnovers would be the negative side of what we've seen in this first half. What kind of things do you tell her to coach her through those moments?
Just that it's going to be an evolution for her. You know, you don't come out in your first game as a starter and boom, everything's amazing, everything's perfect. There's going to be some lumps you're going to have to take, and that's how you learn, right? Some of her turnovers have been situations where she's just making decisions before they're even presenting themselves, and she has to let the game evolve, and that comes with experience and maturity.
She also has had a lot of possessions as Langhorne lays it in, where she has looked remarkably poised and made some outstanding passes, some incredible finishes. You know, what have you seen from her as far as where she's ready to take the biggest leap this year?
Yeah, well, it can't be you're either making a great pass, a great play for a score, or you're turning it over, right? There has to be that middle ground. And she does have that to her game. Like I said, you know, this is game one. Unfortunately, people are probably going to judge her based on this, but it's a long season, and she's going to learn a lot and develop from there.
How about Langhorne, the veteran?
Yeah, Lang's been vocal. I'm like, go ahead. So you have been listening this whole time. No, I'm kidding. Lang's been great.
What has been, Sue, the dynamic like for you now, knowing, you know, you're going to be out for quite a while, but you've always been sort of a coach on the floor as well. Has it felt like, okay, I'm just going to take that role and expand it as sort of you know, an additional coach for this team?
Right. Yes and no. You know, I think the team, get them, Kay. I think the team is used to hearing my voice, but now that I'm not out there, it can't just be my voice, and I can't dominate in that way. I think other players have to step up vocally because they're the ones out there. And that's something I'm learning now that I'm sitting, which is being on the floor, you have such a different perspective. You're feeling, you're seeing, you're kind of experiencing everything. When you're not, it's just a different outlook. So I don't always have the same input that I might have had if I was playing. So I think it's up to the players to step up in that way.
Who needs to be that voice?
You know, I think
Lloyd hits the three, and Phoenix is going to take a timeout. I mean, Sue, I think normally we'd say thank you and release you. I don't know if you're going to want to move with the run your team's on if you're
the good luck spot. I'm in the good luck spot.
That's right. Well, we're hanging out here anyway for a moment. So a 13-point Storm lead, a 14-2 run. Let's take a look at the offense we've been seeing from your team. Ball now hopping in this third quarter, Sue.
Well, that's our offense. You know, I've always said it. It's the ball, the way our offense moves and flows, the ball's going to find the open player, and we've got players who can shoot the ball, and that's just how it is. Whether we, you know, it was 4 years ago and Stewie wasn't on the team, then we had Stewie, whether I'm not there, it doesn't matter. The offense flows the same, and that ball, like I said, it's going to find the open player.
What is Jewel Lloyd had a very quiet first half. She's doing great so far in this third quarter. What is the difference for her when she's really performing well and scoring well and when she's not?
Thinking. I think when she gets caught up in maybe the matchup with January and trying to fight her a little bit, or, you know, trying to do too much. When Jewel's not thinking and just playing, she's at her best, you know? And that happens, I think, for a lot of basketball players. I know if I overthink, it's never a good thing. You're bogged down by that. So the same thing goes for Jewel.
Now, you got your third championship ring earlier today in the ring ceremony. That thing is blinging.
I know. They did an amazing job.
Were you consulted in the
no, I was
design?
Not.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm happy. What an amazing surprise. That thing is really nice.
It is awesome. Sue, how about, I mean, you guys are playing in Everett. This is not your normal arena. This isn't even your second arena where you play at University of Washington while Key Arena is being renovated. But yet, this place is packed. What does it say about your fan base that they're always here, no matter where you guys are, they follow you?
Yeah, it says so much. And, you know, I've seen it firsthand throughout my time here, so this is not a surprise. You know, through the winning seasons, maybe a couple of the losing ones, they stand by us. So it's definitely a compliment to them to see them here today.
It is a sellout, 8,500 fans here in Everett, Washington. I want to go back to the question that Rebecca was asking before the timeout was taken by Phoenix, though. Who ends up being that voice on the floor with you out and with Stewie out?
Right. Well, naturally, I want to say it's the point guard. Because our point guard is only in her second year, I think it has to be some of the more experienced players as well. You know, we just got Alicia Clark back from France. Same with Sammy. I think AC is going to be one. You're going to see and hear from her a lot in that leadership role.
She had a terrific playoffs last year, and especially in the finals as Griner banks that in. You know, Sue, also that series between you and Phoenix.
Yeah,
was,
epic.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing, epic. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
As you're going through the series, are you thinking, wow, I mean, this is...
No, I'm like, oh my God, game 5. I'm like stressed the entire time. I can really look back and tell you guys, I was stressed every single game. I mean, the 3 balls are just dropping right now.
They are. Natasha Howard getting involved.
Literally stressed every single game, and that's the type of team Phoenix is.
Mosqueda Lewis on the steal. Canada to the rim. Phoenix cannot stop the bleeding.
You know what's interesting? I think for our team, what could be beneficial is they know Stewie's out. They know I'm out. They're not expecting us. So they can just kind of move on with their own identity, whereas like a team like Phoenix, it might be in the back of their head, like, okay, we just got to wait for D to get back. You know, and it kind of can change your role and change how you feel about things.
It's a great point. And that is going to be a shot clock violation as Phoenix will turn it over. This crowd in a frenzy after another bucket in transition. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis finding Jordan Canada. Talking with Sue Bird, joining us on the broadcast. Sue with an impending arthroscopic knee procedure upcoming. But it's a good point. You know, you think about it when you're kind of like wondering, okay, when's this person coming back? When aren't they? It makes it a little easier if you just know, hey, we're going to have to do this because, you know, the cavalry isn't coming, at least, you know, Stewart, certainly for the full season, you will see, but for a while.
Yeah, no, that's something we talked about, you know, at one point in training camp. Hey guys, you got a plan to just be without us, and it is what it is. And I think everyone can kind of wrap their head around that, and this team can develop its own identity.
Now we know this rivalry between you and Phoenix, talking about the semifinals last year, it was amazing. And we know, you know, the Mercury are going to be a serious title contender. Who are some of the other teams you look at in the league and you say, I'm curious to watch
I mean, listen, from what I hear, if Vegas doesn't win, they should just fold the team, right? That's it? Is all the pressure on them now? My question is, can they handle that? This is nice. I'm not playing. I can talk all kinds of crap.
Sue still thinks she's at the Final Four doing the trash-talking telecast for us.
Exactly. It never ended. But, yeah, no, in all seriousness, Vegas is obviously, to see how those two players in Cambridge and Asia Wilson, you know, come together, that's going to be tough. I think Minnesota has low-key put together this, like, pretty good roster that nobody's going to talk about, and they're going to creep up on you, and Chicago. Those would be my 3 teams.
You know what's interesting about that? I know, Rebecca, Minnesota's a team you've also really honed in on, thinking, hey, they rebuilt their team in a very smart way, and they could surprise some people even without Maya Moore.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected this to be, you know, a kind of a rebuild year where they could get a higher draft pick. Well, not so fast in their offseason moves and what they were able to do in the draft.
That's only what Seattle does.
Phoenix has done it in the past,
yeah, I was going to say Phoenix too.
Yeah, that's how they got Griner. Bonner hits a long 3 and walks away emphatically with a scream to the sky.
She's talking trash to the sky.
8-point lead for Seattle. Canada dishes out. Wickham misfires on that hop 3. Just nothing quite like the inimitable form of Sammy Whitcomb's 3-point release.
She's the most annoying player to guard in practice. We're all like, all right, enough. She has to chase her around all the time.
She was so good for you guys in the finals, too.
She was.
Another bomb from Bonner is off. Smith can't put it in, and that'll do it for the 3rd. Sue Bird, the all-time leader in assists in WNBA history and games played, a 3-time champion. Thanks for hanging out with us the entire 3rd quarter there.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck for the Storm, who have taken an 8-point lead. Phoenix, a little push at the end of the quarter. What do we have in store for the 4th quarter action between the Storm and the Mercury is coming up next.
known for your defense and what you add to this group defensively. You hold them for 4 minutes without scoring in that first half. What did you change defensively?
We're really coming out aggressively. We're trying to keep a body on Griner. We're double teaming her. We're scrambling. We're flying all around. So we got to keep it going, though. There's one more quarter.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, Gary Kloppenberg has to be happy with the effort thus far. The Seattle Storm down Sue Bird, down Brianna Stewart, and up in this game 56-48 as we begin the fourth quarter. For Natasha Howard, 18 points, 12 rebounds in the game. She had 9 points and 6 boards in the third alone. And a huge difference on the offensive glass in this game. Seattle at +8. Zelus at 3 is off. Bonner secures the rebound. Bonner scored 10 in the third. January flings it out. Alana Smith will set up Griner. Good D again from Seattle, just swarming.
Really good defensive possession because Phoenix was moving the ball really well for most of it.
And an offensive foul is called against Mercedes Russell as Sophie Cunningham, who is a fierce competitor, got in there. Let's take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. CBS Sports Network tonight. Chicago at Minnesota. Outstanding game Friday on ESPN2. Vegas at Phoenix. For more on these games, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app.
Friday, Liz Cambage against Brittany Griner.
Big time matchup.
Doesn't get much better than that in terms of centers.
Bonner hits the bomb, and it is a 5-point game. DeWanna Bonner now with an even 20 points. Lloyd snaking around. Russell couldn't handle the pass and turned over by Seattle.
DeWanna Bonner has deep, deep range when she gets ready to hit the three. Check out her feet.
Yeah, you never have to go to the monitor to see if she was behind the line. Bonner has scored the last 9 for Phoenix. Bonner on the attack. Lays it in, plus the foul. DeWanna Bonner taking over.
This is a player in DeWanna Bonner who has always been good at slithering through and finding room to get to the rim, and her frame is so slight she can get in between people. But even at, what is she, 143 pounds, she's absorbed contact really well throughout the course of her career, drives in and has that deep range on the three as we saw in the possession before.
This is a 12-0 Phoenix run, but more specifically, it's a 12-0 DeWanna Bonner run. Two-point game. Foul called. Alana Smith is whistled for the personal. You know, it's a unique mix for the Phoenix Mercury because they have the established veterans of Bonner and Griner and eventually Taurasi. But then, and Breon January as well. But then you have some real youth with 4 rookies. Brianna Turner, Alana Smith, Sophie Cunningham, Erica Carter, all expect to be a part of the rotation. As Howard misfires on the 3.
5 players who have been in this league for at least 10 years, and then 4 players who are playing in their first WNBA game.
Griner can't finesse it in. Here comes Howard with her 14th rebound. Howard's floater is good. Kind of feels like Seattle and Phoenix, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Bonner a 3. Oh, she got that one too. 26 for DeWanna Bonner. She is the last 15 for Phoenix. Lloyd couldn't reverse it in. And Smith is fouled underneath.
You don't often see an on-ball screen for the player with the basketball to retreat and get behind the three-point line. And that's what you saw with DeWanna Bonner and Brittany Griner. Man, DeWanna Bonner's come alive.
19 in the second half for DeWanna Bonner. January around a Griner screen. Her pass knocked in the air. Good effort by Lloyd, and that's going to be a loose ball foul against Smith.
Both teams working hard, going after the basketball. They get Smith with an over-the-back kind of foul.
Well, remember, every regular season game is so crucial with the playoff format of the buys for the top 4 seeds. And especially those precious top 2 seeds where you get a bye to the semifinal and avoid a 1-game playoff. Shavonte Zealous wanted a foul, didn't get it. 3 to shoot for Seattle. And we have seen an increased focus and engagement in the regular season since going to that format. Jumper for Lloyd. She got whacked by Sophie Cunningham. And Jewel Lloyd is going to shoot a pair.
Last year was a little unique in that we didn't see a team or 2 teams just charge out of the gates and kind of get a stranglehold on those top 2 positions. Last year wasn't like that. The previous 2 years were, and you're right, every single game has such a huge importance because of the 34-game season and the playoff format.
This week's Detail with Kobe Bryant on ESPN Plus features a special guest breaking down Klay Thompson against Portland in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. It's the Phoenix Mercury's Diana Taurasi. She may not be here today, but she is on Detail. Start your free trial of ESPN Plus today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com.
I watched it this morning. It's really interesting by Diana Taurasi.
And for a little more on Diana Taurasi, who better to talk to than Holly Rowe?
Well, Diana Taurasi was projected to be out about 10 to 12 weeks after a procedure on a disc protrusion. 4 weeks have passed since that happened on 4/24. She claims she's ahead of schedule, according to the PR folks of the Phoenix Mercury. She's cleared to stand and shoot, but she has been very present, very positive, coming to practice as she's doing her rehab and everything. And they said she is just really excited about this young group of players. So we can't wait to have Diana Taurasi back as soon as possible.
Both she and Sandy Brondello has raved about the chemistry of this group and already being able to feel it and appreciate it. Canada on the steal, blurring to the rim, a little too much speed. And it's out of bounds. It'll stay with Seattle.
What was interesting listening to Sandy Brondello talk about the chemistry, you don't usually have that great chemistry this early when you have 4 brand new players, when you have 4 rookies on the roster, but it's some of the best chemistry they've ever had.
And she said the key with Phoenix's perspective on Taurasi is Cunningham bats that into the backcourt and Lloyd will let it go out of bounds, is just getting Diana back completely healthy. They don't want to rush her in any way. She said, look, it's not going to be hard for us to immerse Diana Taurasi into what we do. We just want to make sure she's right when she's back. Canada sees a seam, draws the whistle. Jordan Canada will shoot a pair. 5:56 to go in the 4th. Seattle nursing a 3-point lead. Tight contest between the Mercury and the Storm.
The WNBA on ABC is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And the $5 Grande Nachos Box, only at Taco Bell.
Welcome back to Washington, where the Phoenix Mercury trail the Seattle Storm by 3, and much of the Phoenix run has come on the heels of DeWanna Bonner. She scored their last 15 points. She's got deep 3-point range. She's showing that off. She has the ability to get to the rim and finish with an and one, and she's been showing that off as well. Phoenix needed someone to take the reins on the offensive end here in the 4th quarter, and it's been DeWanna Bonner so far.
Bonner is the only Phoenix player to score in the last 6 minutes and 30 seconds of game time. Canada misses the first free throw. Seattle has left some points on the line in this game. They are 10 of 16 as a team. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, you talked about DeWanna Bonner taking the reins on the court, but she's also doing the same thing in the timeouts. after Sandy Brondello, the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury, went through everything on the whiteboard, it was DeWanna Bonner who stood up and with emphatic energy was like, we've got to get stops. It's all about getting stops, trying to encourage her teammates on the defensive end.
I love when Holly does emphatic impressions. Bonner gave way to Griner that possession. She couldn't finish. Smith keeps it alive. 10 to shoot. Griner's turnaround is good. So finally, Phoenix gets a bucket from someone other than DeWanna Bonner. And now can they get that stop that Holly was just talking about? Lloyd's jumper is good. Jewel Lloyd, big second half so far today.
Wasn't thinking on that one.
13 points for Lloyd. 10 of them in the second half. Bonner thought about it for a moment. Zealous. The one to guard Bonner. The rookie Cunningham. Shot clock down to 1. Griner gives it up, and it's a violation. Mercury sort of lulled to sleep within the possession, and the Storm forced the turnover. The WNBA is back, and you can be a part of it by playing in the WNBA Fantasy Tip-Off Contest. Set your lineup for a chance to win courtside WNBA seats and more. Play free through May 26th at WNBA.com/1day. Howard, step back jumper, off the mark. Griner couldn't claw it. Bonner can. Here comes January, flicking it down the floor. Smith and Cunningham, the rookies, out there with Griner, January, and Bonner. Smith can't hit. Griner's tip, no. Rebound loose. Phoenix gets it. Griner blocked. Who's going to end up with it? It's Canada who's tripped and fouled by Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham, known for being a very competitive player, feisty and tough, and a lot of effort inside here, ended with a hard foul on Canada. Phoenix is over the limit, so that is going to put Canada at the line for 2 shots. Meanwhile, Seattle's still with a foul to give. Canada hits the first. Cunningham will check out. Essence Carson in. So Carson, January, Bonner, Griner, and Alana Smith, the rookie. And Canada goes 1 for 2. Howard the rebounder. Her 15th rebound, tying a career high. Lloyd's jumper is good. Jewel Lloyd with 15 points. Seattle a 7-point lead. Smith looking for an answer, no. Seattle back in the driver's seat. Jumper is good. Crystal Langhorne rattles it in. Timeout, Phoenix. Natasha Howard having a tremendous game for Seattle in a big moment just a few possessions ago.
Terrific job. 7 offensive rebounds. She takes advantage of Alana Smith not boxing out on the free throw line. Such an overlooked part of the game often is making sure you corral that defensive board after a free throw, and Seattle and Howard took advantage.
A 19-4 advantage in second chance points for the Storm. They're +6 on the offensive glass. Griner, a quick bucket. Nice play design by Sandy Brondello and her staff out of the timeout. Kenny Taylor, former Mercury great, now a part of that coaching staff with Sandy Brondello. Lloyd has it taken away by Bonner, but a foul. A foul called against Bonner after it had seemed like she'd already come up with a steal, and Jewel Lloyd is going to shoot 2 with Phoenix over the limit.
Tawana Bonner's done a nice job of this all game long, of jumping out on the screens. Did she get her on the arm?
I think so. The whistle didn't come till she had possession, but she definitely got on. Yeah. So the right call made. Maya Forsberg, Cheryl Flores, Janetta Graham. You haven't heard their names a lot today, which is good news.
Yeah, they've done a nice job so far. The all-female officiating crew.
That's right. Lloyd, 17 points. 14 of them in the second half. Seattle by 9. Nice hands by Canada, denying the much larger Brittany Griner. Says, hey, I need that pass a little higher.
Yeah, since Carson's like, yeah, you do. I'll get it there for you next time, big girl.
Bonner, Carson, Griner, January, and Yvonne Turner are the 5 for Phoenix. Howard, Canada, Langhorne, Lloyd, and Zealous, the 5 for Seattle. Bonner with a shot clock expiring, and it did. That's 3 times in the second half the Phoenix Mercury have watched the shot clock expire.
That's just the lack of awareness of where the shot clock is when you inbound the basketball.
18th turnover for the Mercury. And the possession goes back to Seattle. Hey, join us next Friday on ESPN2 at 10 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. on the West Coast for more great WNBA action as Liz Cambage and the Las Vegas Aces and these Phoenix Mercury do battle. That's next Friday on ESPN2, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
Talked about it a little earlier. That's the battle of the very bigs. Brittany Griner, Liz Cambage, the 2 centers for these teams, both of them. Liz Cambage last year, runner-up in the MVP voting. Brittany Griner, very capable of an MVP-type season. Their numbers comparable. It's always fun watching these 2 battle.
Seattle nursing a 9-point lead. They have possession, 2:46 to go. Such an impressive performance for this team, playing without Sue, without Brianna Stewart. Phoenix, yes, without Diana Taurasi. But how did Gary Kloppenberg and the Storm lock down this win?
We've seen at times where they've had really good defensive possessions. They're guarding Tawana Bonner a little bit differently in the pick-and-roll situation, switching out on her, trying to keep the ball out of her hands because she's been such a key in the second half for Phoenix. And then offensively, continue with the energy, particularly Natasha Howard getting on the offensive glass.
Griner 8 of 18 in this game. She has 16 points. Bonner with 26. 9-point Seattle lead. Canada 10 to shoot. Clock is the friend of the Storm. Canada cups it up and in. Jordan Canada with a myriad of finishes on display. And a steal. Canada blazing to the rim. The lead is back to 13 as Phoenix ends the run there with a jumper from Bonner. Jordan Canada, a career high, 14 points to go with 6 assists. Canada, you can see the confidence in her gait. Langhorne, no. Phoenix needs buckets in a hurry. Bonner providing one there, plus the foul.
Tawana Bonner, as we've seen throughout the course of her career, especially in the absence of Diana Taurasi, willing in big moments, give me the basketball and let me lead this team. And we've seen that throughout the course of this game, particularly the second half. So key and important for Phoenix today on the offensive end of the floor.
Bonner, a 30-point afternoon. This is why Sandy Brondello tells us she believes Bonner could be right behind Brittany Griner and challenging for an MVP.
She's been their MVP so far in this game.
8-point game. Phoenix not done yet. They need to stop. Lloyd has the pass knocked away, and it's stolen by Bonner. Bonner nearly lost her footing. Bonner gets it across the timeline, throws it up dangerously, but Carson collects. Underneath, layup is good for Griner, and Seattle needs a timeout. Suddenly, it's a 6-point game after a swift 7-0 run. The Phoenix Mercury doing something that was emblematic of their performance in the semifinals against Seattle. They erased deficits in a hurry.
We're just running and running into drag. Whoever has the ball is getting a drag over here, unless BG's all the way down here. If someone's open, look to pass it. High, high.
Tawana Bonner doing a great job getting the steal. That's what Phoenix is going to need more of that. Able to salvage the possession, and Brittany Griner converting. You heard Sandy Brondello telling her team, we have to get stops, we have to get the defensive rebound, which has been an issue for them, and then push it in transition. They need a stop and then a quick score.
Only Tawana Bonner and Brittany Griner have scored in the second half for Phoenix. No other member of the Mercury has scored. 24 for Bonner, 12 for Griner. And a 6-point Seattle lead as the Storm looking to lock down a victory on ring ceremony day after capturing their 3rd championship a season ago. Here is Canada. A little less than 70 seconds remaining. Canada, a career-high 14 points in this game. Letting the clock wind. Here comes a screen from Langhorne. Canada trying to work around Turner. Canada barrels in and finishes. Timeout taken by Phoenix. They didn't see it. They did not see Sandy Brondello trying to take a timeout. So instead, the possession runs. Bonner from way out, no. Howard the rebound, and that may just about do it. Sandy Brondello instructing her team to foul. They are not, and you wonder if at this point Phoenix may just back away. Canada will take no. Rebound Langhorne. Shot clock reset. It should not have. And now the officials will call timeout because of that. Shot clock resetting. That ball did not hit the rim.
Jordan Canada, what a play. You know, she had the space. Ron Turner playing pretty good defense, but Canada using her speed, her strength, finishing. Canada's had some really sweet moments in this game tonight.
16 points, 6 assists for Canada. After that bucket, Sandy Brondello was out on the floor trying to get a timeout, but I don't believe her team nor the officials saw what she was trying to do, so the possession just ran on, and Sandy was out on the floor saying, whoa, hold on a second. But it was too late at that point. And this is what they're discussing right now, because the shot clock reset on this rebound grab by Langhorne, but clearly it should not have, as that ball did not hit rim. And so there should have been probably around 5 to shoot when Langhorne grabbed that rebound, and around 20 seconds remaining on the game clock. Nonetheless, it is virtually cosmetic at this point, as the Storm are on the precipice of a very nice opening season victory.
For Seattle to play the way they've played, especially come back the way they came back, Phoenix looked terrific early on in this game in the first quarter, and Seattle weathered the storm, continued to fight. Natasha Howard's had a phenomenal game.
Natasha Howard, a career high 16 rebounds to go with 20 points. So 2 seconds will be placed on the shot clock. They will adjust the game clock as well. Seattle's going to take a timeout and discuss this a bit more. But Phoenix just had the opportunity to foul and did not. So, you know, they were obviously content to pack it up and say, all right, we'll get them next time. This is the first of 3 meetings this year between these 2 teams. Rebecca, you just said it. How impressive for Seattle to come out like this with how well Phoenix was playing in that first quarter, to lock them down defensively the rest of the game.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job defensively. I thought there was a couple other things that Gary Kloppenberg has to really happy about. Jewel Lloyd, a quiet first half. She came alive in the third quarter, helped them making the charge. Natasha Howard's been terrific. There's a lot for Jordan Canada to learn from in this game. As Sue Bird, when she was talking with us, the spectacular plays, balancing that with some of the turnovers. But for the defending champion to come out with without two of their big pieces and play this way so far, they have to be pleased.
And perhaps the Phoenix Mercury will face a little more of a climb without Taurasi than maybe initially perceived in the early weeks of this season. 2 on the shot clock, 17 on the game clock. Langhorne got it off. Rebound goes out of bounds. I think it might hit the wrist of Griner. It did. It's Seattle ball with 13.4 to go. Shot clock turned off. And Seattle about to lock down a win. Clearly at Griner. Storm ball. Canada inbounds to Howard. Now Phoenix will foul. Obviously, that is, at this point, not going to bear fruit for them after letting that last possession play out. But Howard will go to the free throw line with a chance to add more to her tally. How about Seattle's starting backcourt in this game has outscored Phoenix's 33-9. Talking about missing Taurasi.
Missing Taurasi, but you wouldn't necessarily expect that considering Seattle's missing Sue Bird.
True.
That just shows what Jordan Canada was able to do, coupled with Jewel Lloyd.
Howard goes 1 for 2. Phoenix will take a timeout with 11.8 seconds remaining, and Seattle leading by 9. Mercury will use their final timeout, draw up a play. Rebecca, sometimes is it also, hey, early game in the season, we want to simulate some situations?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a game situation, an end game situation. You want to advance the basketball, see, especially with young players, if they're on the floor, what can my team handle? What can we execute? How is Seattle going to defend it? You simulate this in practice all the time, but it's very different in a game.
9-point Seattle lead. They trailed by 11 early and then played stymieing defense the rest of the way. Big second half from Jewel Lloyd. Big game from Jordan Canada and Natasha Howard. That pass is dropped out of bounds to Seattle as the Mercury turn it over. And Jordan Canada will be able to dribble this one out. The defending champion Seattle Storm start 2019 with a victory. 77-68 the final. And despite not